Okay, happy Monday, even though I know it's Tuesday, but tonight's homework is interpreting a remainder, and it is a difficult concept because it is very abstract. So I would just like to kind of walk you through what the kids are bringing home and how we're handling it in the classroom. So maybe you could have a conversation with your child at home for each of these word problems. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple here. The first one, there are two people going on a hike and they are hiking 75 miles. And it says that they plan to hike for 12 days. So what we were doing in class today is having the students set up an equation. So we would write 75 divided by 12. So step one would be to set up your equation. Then when they get their answer, they get 6 remainder 3. But in this case, it's asking for how many miles they'll hike each day. So they want to use all of the miles. But it doesn't really make sense to say 6 remainder 3 miles each day. So that is why we converted it to a fraction, 6 3/12 a mile, which is 6 1/4 a mile. So that skill can be a little difficult when they have to take a remainder and convert it to a fraction. This one here, it changes and says, what if they wanted to hike their 75 miles and they wanted to do 14 miles each day? How many will they hike exactly? How many days will they hike exactly just the 14-mile days? So you would have to then set up your expression, 75 divided by 14 this time. But the problem is they end up with 5 remainder 4. And in this case, they wouldn't use the remainder. It would just be 5 14-mile days because they wanted the days that were exactly 14 miles. A lot of the kids were writing 5 remainder 4, and that's where the skill comes in. In this case, you wouldn't want to use your remainder because they want the exact 14-mile days, which is only 5. In this one, there are 154 hikers, and they are putting 15 hikers in a room, and they want to know how many rooms. So we would set up our expression, 154 divided by 15, and they would get 10 remainder 4. But the question wants to know how many rooms will they need for the hikers. So in this case, it doesn't make sense to get 10 remainder 4 rooms. So the students would need to know that there will be 10 full rooms of 15, but they actually need 11 rooms for these extra people. Even though it's not a full room, they can't leave those people out. And that's where the skill comes in and why it's so challenging, because it's interpreting that remainder. In this case, they would need 11 rooms. And it's kind of the same thing here. There are 212 stickers, and they're taking 18 stickers for 1 page. And they want to know how many pages will she need for all of her stickers. Since they want all of the stickers, you have to use your remainder. And in this case, there will be 11 full pages of 18. But those extra stickers have to be utilized, so she will use 12 pages, but one of them just won't be full. So as you can see, it just takes that little higher level thinking. So for you to help your seeker at home, you could have them set up expressions like we did in class today. And then when they're done, have them talk through them. What is that remainder need to be bumped up? Can we not leave out people, or do they want to use all of that dividend? Or are they asking for just the exact groups, which in this case they wouldn't need the remainder. If it's miles or maybe some kind of measurement, you can make it into a fraction. So for instance, this one, Sheila is going to take a 36-inch piece of ribbon and put it in 5 equal groups. Well, this student said that each piece will be 7 inches long. The error is each piece will be 7 1/5 inches long, because the answer is 7 remainder 5, but saying 7 remainder 5 inches wouldn't make sense, or remainder 1 inches, so the students would then put it as 7 1/5 of an inch. So knowing when to make it a fraction, when to bump up, or when to not use the remainder, that's the skill today. It is a little challenging for the kids. For this one, they took apple slices and oranges and combined it and shared it with a class of 24. And the answer is 3 remainder 12, but you can't say you'll give each student 3 remainder 12. So we then converted it to each student would get 3½ slices of fruit. And the last one we did today was we took a whole class of 5th grade students, and we took 38 students per bus, which gave us 3 remainder 9. But this one wanted to know how many students will be on the bus that's not full. So we have 3 full buses of 38, but 9 extra. So it would be 9 in this case. So their homework is very similar to this if you want to use the same approach, and just having conversations about what they're doing. A lot of kids want to say, well, here you do 154 divided by 15. And I always have them tell me using words, not numbers. I know that sounds confusing, but they're taking all the hikers. They're sharing a group of them in their rooms. There's a couple extra hikers, so we got to have an extra room. If they can explain it using words, it will really help them to make the connection. And as always, try it out at home. See what you can do to help your seeker. Have a great conversation with them. If they need additional help or they just still aren't getting it, please don't stress. You can always write me a note and I can continue to teach this skill tomorrow in class. And I hope you have a great night.